My unit was deployed to Kuwait. I did not serve any time. I ended up being a mail clerk, so I delivered mail to my guys who were in Kuwait, and I did that from Germany. I got shot at more than they do. Delivering mail. I've said it along the campaign trail, a big part of why we'll never be invaded on our soil is Second Amendment. My thing is now I'm going to quit buying guns and start stocking up on ammo. I don't need an expensive bat. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So what led you to want to run for state senator?
My dad was heavy involved in the neighborhood and did a lot of different things. And part of that was the Farmers Federation. And he had asked me to join the Farmers Federation, but I was too busy building the nursery and a farm and the nursery business. And so my whole life was right here on my phone. And so I thought, I don't have time, So why it's complicated is my son started stepping up and really had a big role in building the nursery too, and there was a point there where it was time for me to back away and let him do it, and he did a really good job and has done a really good job. So the thing is it gave me a little more time, so I joined the Farmers Federation. A little bit later, they groomed me into an executive board member, and then I guess naive, I wasn't paying attention that they were leading me to something else. They'd asked me to run, and I laughed. It was comical. I'm not a politician. So the more I asked questions, I saw more of a need. I actually found two other people I was hoping would run for this office, and they didn't. They were in until something happened. One of them was a lawsuit. Another one had some other retirement issues. So they just fell to the wayside. And at the end, I really saw the need. And last minute, I threw my name in and said, okay, we're going wide open. My family was pushing me. Look, you can make some, do some good, make a difference. And I didn't see us represented the way I think we should have been across the district. I asked a lot of questions. Do you know who your state senator is? And nobody really knew. And the guy had been there for 3 terms. So it was a last minute. All right, let's do this.
What about being involved encouraged the people around you to push you into it?
That's a good question too. I don't know. You hear people talk about skeletons in the closet. I got married in high school, went right into the military. I had my daughter in high school. Been married 39 years. All I've done is work really hard and, build a business. Yeah. And so I guess I just, in the scheme of things, don't have a lot of skeletons. So, and, I guess some leadership skills they saw in me and just decided that, hey, we need this guy. And that's where the push was from.
That's who we want representing us.
Yeah, that's kind of where it was at. So and they knew that I would be loyal to the farmers and the federation. So and I will be. Cool. So there's that.
You mentioned your father, you, and then your son. How many generations of farmers are you guys?
So right now, I would be a second generation. So my dad started everything.
Okay.
Bought all the land.
Cool.
Went to Auburn. He as an agronomist, so he studied the soil. I always wanted to farm. Went to work for Monsanto, was buying property, and then found a time that he could go farm full time. So, and I have 2 older brothers, and we farm together. And then my son would be a 3rd generation, and he's moving up, I don't know, ranks, however you want to call it. He's the general manager of our nursery, and will hopefully be the farmer and the nursery guy. So right now, really going well there. So, yeah.
What does farming mean to Alabama? How important is it? Right now, we're seeing a lot of development, even in Fairhope and coming down from Birmingham and Huntsville, about this kind of tech revolution.
Oh, yeah.
How important is it for those two to balance each other? What does that look like?
Oh, that's huge. You're talking about the tech side and farming together?
Even both, farmland being taken over for the development of industry, but then also where farmland needs to still exist.
If we want to continue to eat, we're going to have farmers, or we can rely on other countries for food, and that's not safe at all, right? Yeah. As far as, let's say, Baldwin County, I hate to see all these farms being sold and developed. At the same time, I believe in property rights. There's hardly any money in row cropping right now, And how do you ask somebody to continue to row crop when they can sell their land for generational wealth?
What can farmers do to make more profits but still keep the cost of agriculture reasonable?
Farming's the only industry I know where everything they buy is at retail. Fertilizer, all the input costs into a crop, they pay retail for. A tractor, there's no offsets for that. Every crop that they sell is at wholesale. It's the only business I know of where it has that model. The only way, in my opinion, to stop these farmers from going out of business is to make farming profitable again, to where that young farmer coming up really wants to farm and sees a where he can supply, provide for his family. Yeah. It's a good life. It's a hard life, but it is a good life. But there needs to be profit in it. I mean, just like anything else, right? So I don't have a clear answer for that question. If I did, that'd be pretty amazing. I really don't know. Other than the only way I know to slow these farms down from selling off is to make farming profitable again. And I don't know how you do that, especially with what we're talking about with the input costs. Fertilizer, fuel. Yeah. We're not making money. Yeah. We farm at the moment now. This is just, and things do change. And the reason I say that, back in the day when the nursery was really struggling, the farming was making little money. So it can change. That's why we are very diversified in what we do. We try to farm. We have a nursery. Me and my brother have event centers. We have an RV park. It takes all of it for us to make a living. So sometimes you hinge on one more than the other. Right now with the building and the way the economy is, the nursery's doing really well. So that's a really good thing.
You mentioned fertilizer. What do you think is the profitability differences, if you've looked into this? I'd be curious of, like, say, organic farming versus maybe conventional farming.
So we're as far as the farming side of it, not the nursery, but peanuts, corn, soybeans, and then there's some cover crops involved for rotation purposes and to build topsoil. But other than that, that's what we farm, and that's mostly my dad and my oldest brother's part in it. Me, my middle brother, my son are more on the nursery side, but we cross a lot, and we're all equal, partners in some of it. So we kind of help each other. That's what we do. When you grow up in that settlement, you don't really wear a hat. You kind of do what needs to be done. I can be a floor sweeper or a truck driver, or looking at books. So you just never know. Yeah. Whatever needs to be done.
Thinking about you coming into this election, you're now the primary for your district.
Yeah, I would be the Republican nominee for my district at this time. Cool. Things look pretty good for me in November. So,
what have you learned since achieving that primary spot? Tell me what people need to know about the individual in your position running this race.
So I went to Montgomery for an orientation as a freshman senator. I believe there was 4 of us that went up there. Met with the pro tem. I'd never been to the state building, so I've heard this referred to as drinking out of a fire hydrant, and that's a very good analogy. It's just so much to take in, so much to learn. I'm going up with my ethics intact. I haven't made any false promises on the campaign trail, stuff that I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. It's kind of like, hey, I'm going to take my ethics, I'm going to learn, and I'm going to do the best I can for the most people I can. That would be probably my biggest message. And, so much of this stuff, what I'm learning and what I've seen, when every senator votes a certain way, there's usually a reason. And so some deals are made. That's how I think some of this politics works. It's made in the back room, and it's for the best. It's for the better of their people, what they can do, the best to represent sometimes. But we don't hear the whole story. Yes. And I think most of the time we don't hear the whole story. And a lot of that is stuff that I've got to learn. I want allies. I want to get things done for our district. And if you don't have allies, you're not going to. So you have to have some people that you trust, or some people that you can lean on for, how to get things done. So I've got a lot to learn. There's no hidden fact in that. I mean, it's a lot. I'm meeting a lot of people, a lot of interesting people, good folks. Everybody you meet's kind of got an agenda, and but that's my job, is to listen. And then once I'm in that position, I'll kind of know, and maybe I can study both sides to see which way I need to lean and vote accordingly.
When you're heading into a position like this, you've been on the civilian side of politics your entire life up to this point, which I think is amazing personally. Like, I love to hear that you, a business owner, farmer, is now stepping into that. I believe that's how it should be. That's how it was built, right? That's how the country was built. Do you have any concerns about going into that? Like, do you have any of these preconceived notions or ideas about what you might face? How are you going?
Oh, I have tons.
How are you going into that?
Oh yeah. Well, eyes wide open, fingers crossed, hands clutched. Say a prayer. Yeah. I mean, I don't have the answers for that. Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, I worry about not being experienced enough to do good for my district. I mean, that's just personal concerns I have. But I'm told you take your ethics. You be honest. Try to be transparent, and you try to do the best you can for your district. And not everybody's going to love every decision you make. That's part of it. That part will be hard for me, because I've always wanted to make people happy. Most I could, and I still will. But the fact is not everybody's going to be happy with every decision. And I think explaining that to people, I think that's a big part. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that the best way. Maybe it's Facebook. My daughter's really good with social media. Maybe we do videos. I don't know. But I really want people to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing and why. So I think that's a big part. We need to be more transparent. These, politicians need to be more transparent and lay it out. This is what we're doing and why. So I'd like to do that. I don't know what it looks like or how to do it exactly yet, but we're working on it.
Yeah. So we're here right now having a conversation. Sure. What are some things that you hope to accomplish if you're to get this position?
Well, I would love to help agriculture first off. That was my platform, is agriculture and veteran. So I also want to do all I can for veterans, but it goes way beyond that. I mean, there's a need for a lot of help with these rural hospitals. I'm worried about gambling coming up. And that's a big topic. So I would like to talk about gambling for a minute, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So what is your concern with gambling? Actual casinos or just online sports betting?
Casinos and both. Yes. Okay. All expansion of gambling.
Okay. What's the concern?
What all it brings. Trafficking. Debt. It plays on. It feeds off. Let's call it a bottom feeder. People are going into casinos that don't have money. It's an additional tax, if you will. These places make a lot of money. They don't make a lot of money from paying people, and people get caught up in it, I believe. And one of the things that I was pinned on that wasn't true, and I'll call it a half truth, which was worse than a false, is that I would not allow the people to vote on a lottery. And I got pinned down in a radio interview, and the guy was, "You're against the expansion of gambling." I said, "Yes, I do not want to see Alabama's Gulf Coast look like Mississippi's." And the only thing thriving around Mississippi is pawn shops. We have a beautiful Gulf Coast. I don't want to see that. And I don't understand why anybody would that cares about Alabama, Baldwin County, Alabama, or Gulf Coast.
We don't have much Gulf Coast.
A huge revenue for the state. And we just don't need it to look like Mississippi. Yeah. And so where I was pinned down was, I said, I'm not for the expansion of gambling. And the guy had an agenda. He kept going with it. Yeah. And so he led me down the road to, hey, so you are against the people voting on the lottery. And I said, yes, absolutely I am, because they don't understand that the lottery is in Class 3 gaming, which is the expansion of gambling. So Class 3 gaming is everything. He took the part of, you're not for the people voting for the lottery. And I said, yes. And he stopped it at that and didn't talk about the expansions. So I thought at one point, and I didn't learn any of this until I qualified.
Wow.
I started really learning about it after I qualified. Okay. And so my opponent called it an educational lottery. That's so far from the truth. There's nothing about the lottery.
That's
that
what
was going
I've
to-
always heard.
It's not.
I've heard. I used to live in Florida. Florida, like all the money goes to the educational system.
Right.
So what is that lie? What's the half truth there?
Well, because there's right now, and I'm saying right now. I'm not saying that it will never be. Well, yeah, I'll go as far as to say I think it will never be, because the outside interest, the people who want the full gaming, and we're talking about DraftKings, FanDuel, all those groups, right? We can even go to the casinos in Mississippi. They would love to have casinos over here, correct? I mean, it's a no-brainer. They're pouring millions of dollars into these campaigns to make sure they get their point across. Yeah. Well, they're never going to do that if we get a clean lottery, and right now it's not separated, and I don't think it will be because of the money. The money that they've put into these campaigns. I mean, if you see American Conservative Fund, which we saw a lot during these campaigns, that was outside gambling interest. That was people put money into that. So that would be part of my fear, is that they would end up passing. And I've met with the Porch Creek. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's a whole. They're a whole different thing.
Altogether different.
Yeah.
They do gaming. If you want to go gamble, go to Porch. Go to Wind Creek and Atmore. Yeah. Go to Mississippi. Yeah. People that are saying, "Well, you're letting that money leave our state." I am. Let them have it all. The corruption, all the other stuff that comes with it. The Porch Creek gives a lot of money back to our state and back to our communities. These other outside gambling people are not. That's not what their interest is.
So it's confusing because people are all about the little guy. They get so mad at the billionaires of the world or the millionaires of the world, but then they want you to vote for gambling, which is usually these massive conglomerations.
That's what it is in this case, best I can tell.
So what you're saying here is you want to stick up for Alabama as what it is, which is the individual small businesses and people who make up the state.
I guess that would be true. Yeah.
In a way.
Sure.
Because, I just think about it. Like, I feel it probably just as much as anybody as a small business owner that everything keeps getting more expensive.
It does.
And I would say that the wanting to bring in more of that would lend to that situation, or would lend to more people who are not of means getting more debt, like you're saying.
Right.
In Alabama, to me, me and my wife moved here because in essence, it was one of the states that felt as if it was a safe haven.
Right.
I grew up in Vegas. I spent some time out there, 3, 4, 5 years out in Vegas. And so there's beautiful areas of Vegas and there's terrible areas of Vegas. And I think as a whole, we as citizens want to see the whole of our state be a beautiful place to live for everybody.
Oh, and I would love to see, more tax dollars come into our state for education. That's not what I'm not fighting that. Yeah. That's not my point. My point is, if you think right now that a lottery come on to a vote, you need to know what you're voting for. It's not just a lottery like Florida has. Yeah. It is, and we're talking millions of dollars. You think they won't end up on our beach, or in Baldwin County, or in our area, or in our districts? They will. It's a given.
So what they're doing then is kind of sneaking in all of gambling under that idea of the educational system lottery.
Well, let's take American Conservative Fund. That sounds great, right? Especially for a Republican, American Conservative Fund. Why wouldn't that be great, right? Well, pull it up on the internet and see where it goes. It's FanDuel, DraftKings, and there's others. It's a pack that is a gambling pack.
Well, watch the names. Don't always fall for the naming of something.
Right, exactly. That's right. Yeah, and millions of dollars that they poured into. I'm talking Republican primaries, not Republican against Democrat. It's not that. They're pushing whoever will go for their agenda. And I'm not going to say that every politician who had an ad run on behalf of American Conservative Fund is for gambling. I need to be careful with that, sure. but there was a lot. They spent a lot. Yeah. They spent a lot. And most of it was negative. Most of what they were spending is not talking about how good their candidate was. It was how bad their opponent was. So, I mean,
that kind of can drive me crazy.
Yeah. All the negative stuff which in my race I think helped me. If it hadn't went so negative, I think it opened a lot of people's eyes of what is this guy spending? Golly, he was spending one day was 5 mailers in one day, and these mailers are. So what I was told, they're 11 to 20,000 a pop. A full page, I assume, was the higher dollar one, and they have some small pages.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that was more like 11. These were all the full page.
I got some of those in my mailbox.
Yeah,
now I'm in a different district, but I got some.
No, you know what I'm talking about,
Yep.
though. So we're talking $100,000 in a day.
Yeah.
If that's the right price, say it's 15.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still an awful lot of money.
So what do you think set you apart? We're talking about somebody who had such big funding behind them.
Yeah.
What set you apart in this race?
I think I had a lot of things going for me. I had the Farmers Federation. We talked about that. I didn't take any other PAC money. So when I say PAC money, farmers are a farm PAC. I did take some support from them, not monetary, but support. That was the only PAC money I received. Outside of that, I had a very good team. I had a lot of good friends and good people working on my behalf. We spent less than a tenth of the amount of money that he spent, but we outworked him hard. I mean, we knocked doors. I was speaking in all kind of, to people, anybody who wanted to listen, I was speaking to. It might be a group of 10 people in Washington County, 4 people in Escambia County, but that grows. That people see that you're sincere and you're really there to help them, and they've not had that in a long time. So the fact that I would show up at a phone call and try to talk to them, and my family was behind me on it, and I come from a very good family, very honest, hardworking. That didn't hurt. We had a lot of things going for us. And I think it took all of it. I really do. I think it even took the negative that he did. He tried to sell me as a career politician. I've never run for any office.
Yeah.
So the fact that he did so much to let you know who he was, and that he'd already been there 3 terms, kind of led people to believe too that wow, where has this guy been? So I think it took all that. I think every part of it. You leave one part out. I won by 735 votes.
Wow,
now,
that's tight.
I won huge in Baldwin County.
Okay.
But Escambia County, I run into a lot of resistance. That was his county. It's where he's from.
Okay.
In Washington County, but I won East Bruton and I won Milry, and outside of that, I lost every other municipality across the district. But I did so well in Baldwin County that there was enough there. I think I was 2,200 votes up in Baldwin County.
Wow.
But you lose 100 here and 70 here and 200 here. But at the end of the day, I won by 4%.
2 questions here. We'll start with like veterans and stuff.
Sure.
But I want to get to like the importance of like state impact, states' rights, like those kind of things. Oftentimes we look to the president or DC politicians, and kind of yell about it. But what does it mean to care about the local element? But let's start with veterans. So what do veterans need?
Let me start by saying that even when I started this as a veteran, I had no idea how bad like veteran suicide was. There's roughly 44 a day killing themselves to suicide.
Is that nationwide or Alabama?
That's nationwide.
Okay.
Nationwide. And so I talked to some veterans. I don't mind naming. So Kent Davis, he's with Vets Recover. A lot of people don't know who he is, but he was the veteran advocating for our state who him and Kay Ivey got into it, and I don't know what that was about. I just know that he was no longer the guy, and he was doing a really good job from what I hear from veterans. So I talked to him. I want to talk to him a lot more as I go into this new role. And then there's some local people with the Legion that I talked to. There was a guy, Patrick Jump. He's, what's the name of his? Warrior Legacy Ranch. Okay. That's him. He's over in Robertsdale area. He's a Marine. He's doing a lot, trying to help veterans. Jeremy Clark and his wife, they're in Grand Bay. they're doing a lot as well. Vets to Cowboys, I think is his deal. He's trying to get veterans who are struggling and put them in agriculture, which I haven't. I've talked to him over the phone a lot. We've met a few times. I want to go to his place. I just hadn't had time. Yeah. But he's doing a really good job connecting with veterans and trying to help them. So it's people like that who are really trying to make a difference that I want to connect with and ask them what you asked me. How do I help? And especially Kent Davis. I mean, he's traveling this state. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I can't keep up. He's busier than some of these folks that was running a statewide campaign. I mean, he is advocating for veterans.
So the key is to have boots on the ground, feed you the
find
right
out
information.
what they need. And I'm going around the world to answer that question. But so I'm going to use an example. So, and I don't know how to make all this happen. I've got a lot to learn. Yeah. So let's just use Washington County for an example. There's a lot of veterans in Washington County. It's a big county. It's a big rural area. Well, they're having to come down to Mobile to a very crowded VA to get help, right? They're passing by a struggling hospital in Chatham and going right past that to a crowded VA. Well, why can't they stop at that hospital? It helps the hospital, helps the veteran.
How can we incorporate
kind of releases takes some pressure off the Mobile VA. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's stuff like that
Creative
I
ideas.
want to try to figure out, how do we make all this work? And it might not work for the hospital. I don't know. I haven't got into the grassroots of it all, but I sure want to. Yeah. And figure out, hey, does this make sense? Does it not? Maybe bring some common sense back. I don't know. That's what I'd like to do. Yeah. But there might be reasons that way beyond me that won't work. So I'll have to get there and figure it out. Ask the right questions, meet the right people. So I'm anxious to do that. Some of that.
Yeah. Where did you serve?
So I served 3.5 years in a place called Fulda, Germany. I was there when the wall came down in '89. Wow. I lived 3 miles from the wall when it came down. So it was pretty good. I did 4 years active. A year and a half airborne reserves, and 2.5 years in the Guard, and just finished my 8-year obligation. Yeah. So I got out honorably discharged. So yeah, once a veteran, always a veteran, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, it was good. My unit was deployed to Kuwait. I did not serve any time. I ended up being a mail clerk, so I delivered mail to my guys who were in Kuwait. Wow. And I did that from Germany. I got shot at more than they did delivering mail. No. Yeah, really. Yeah.
Wow. Because of the tension during that time in Berlin.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to drive mail back to Frankfurt every day, and bags of mail in a brown van that would run about 65 miles an hour on the Autobahn. So people go by shooting at you. Or people set up at a bridge and shoot at you.
Really?
Yeah, I come back several times. I had holes in my van.
So what was the who were the people? Obviously, I was not around during that time.
Sure.
So what was who were the people causing this sort of chaos?
Well, it was Kuwait. There was a lot going on in the Middle East at that time.
So they were protesting.
Oh yeah, big time. Okay. So it was, but some of this was German. It wasn't. Germans didn't believe we should be there. It wasn't our war to fight. Yeah. So that's what some of it, I'm assuming, was from. I didn't stop and ask them.
Yeah, I know. Didn't shake any hands.
Especially because I wasn't armed,
Wow.
No, I wasn't armed. So, yeah. So all I could do was, slow down or speed up.
Yeah.
Or just swerve a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, my goodness. Crazy.
But, hey, it was all good. I mean, it was fun.
Cool. Let's talk about the importance of being focused on my state.
Okay.
As a person who lives here, what are things that we as citizens could be more focused on to make a bigger difference? There's a lot going on in the world right now.
How about a vote?
Okay.
How about let's get out and vote?
Okay.
So we're talking about veterans. These veterans lost their lives for your right, for freedom of religion, and your right to vote. Think of the foreign countries that are dying for those two rights alone. Let's forget everything else. Voting and religion. Yeah. And this last election was a 10% turnout.
Really?
Yeah, 10 point something. Now that was a special election or a runoff, but there was I think it was 18% in my primary runoff. So it's not like it's a huge amount. And this last one, it's raining. Come on. I mean, get out and vote. Hey, and don't complain if you don't. That's my other message.
No, for sure.
Really, who wants to hear it? If you're not going to at least take the time to get out and vote, then you shouldn't have the right to complain.
Let me ask you this. How do you respond to people who say that voting is come to the point where, man, it doesn't really matter anymore? There's so much corruption.
It's never mattered more.
Okay.
Never mattered more.
What is your response to the idea of the corruption element? We saw...
I believe it
yeah.
exists. Okay, I believe it really does. There is a lot of corruption. I can't point my finger to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe it does exist. That's why we need to study these candidates even more, find out more about who we're putting in these offices. Yeah. What else are you going to do? Yeah. I don't. I mean, there's a lot of things that I see that we could do to maybe help. But the things that I see will never get voted in because it's the people who are. I mean, all right, I'm sitting as a senator or soon to be senator, and you're going to ask me to vote on a term limit? I would, but how many would? You're asking me to vote against myself. I don't know that that'd ever pass.
Okay.
I would love to see some limits on money spent for some of these candidates. I don't know how you'd regulate it. Yeah. I mean, the main thing is, and term limits. Let's use term limits, for example. You have the right to term limits. It's called the vote. You get out and vote.
Or
if I've been there too
tell
long,
others to vote.
I'm not doing my job.
Yeah.
Vote me out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is maybe too, I don't know. To answer your question in another way, I think ever since COVID, we lost a lot of trust in our government with COVID. Mm-hmm. I really believe that. I did. Yeah. I mean, you forced a vaccine on people, and, people were scared. It's easy to Monday morning quarterback COVID and say, well, this is what we should have done. Yes. Because at the time, everybody was scared. I personally was vaccinated because my parents, who are now 86 and 85, I wouldn't want to be the reason, all because I could have went and got a shot. And if I was to give them something, I couldn't got past that. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm talking about. That was scared. I went and got vaccinated because I was scared, not for me, but for my family. Yeah. But I think that was a big distrust. I mean, they knew better. The other thing is the media. We're constantly, I'm a Trump fan. Not everybody is. I'm definitely a Trump guy. I believe what he's saying about the media. And how dirty they're treating him, and treating Republicans and not telling the truth, and you don't hear the whole truth. Well, it all plays together, and before long we just keep beating each other up. Not even Republicans can stand together. Yeah. So the lack of trust. I see where people are frustrated, but that's even more of a reason to get out and vote. It really is. And I do ask veterans, hey man, how you feel about this 10% turnout? Oh man, we give our lives, or I lost my brother over there. Stuff like that. And it's not that there's not pride in our country. There's distrust in our politicians. Yes. I think that's a true statement. Yes. Because we do, we're a proud country, but we do need to get out and vote.
Earlier you mentioned wanting to be transparent. How do you hope to bring that to pass if you end up in office? What does that look like?
Social media, I think, is going to be my best avenue. Making videos and having them put out, maybe what we're doing right here, maybe after a legislative session, we do one of these and get the word out, so people say, oh, I voted for this, but I didn't know it had that in it. Now that makes sense, because I think a lot of times it does make sense if you hear the whole story. It's just like the lottery I was talking about.
Absolutely.
It's if you don't hear the whole thing, you hear, well, he didn't vote. He won't let us vote for the lottery. And we just saw what happened with the PSC. People want to vote. They want their right to vote. They just don't want to get out and do it. Yeah. I guess that's also sounds like I'm lecturing people, but I am.
Yeah.
I get out and vote.
Yeah.
You
even
want
before
the right.
A big vote, like let's say you're in before a big vote, like, hey, here's what these things mean. here's the loopholes. Here's where they trick you with the wording. I mean, there's times
Right.
I get it, I read something, and I'm like, what? I don't even know which way I'm voting.
Right.
Because it's like a double negative sometimes.
Yep. You want to hear both sides of the story.
Yeah.
Like I was talking about with the veterans, it makes sense. It just, everything about that makes sense until you hear from the hospital and they say, well, what about this, or this won't work, or we don't offer this. I get it.
Yeah.
It's just a thought, but that's how things start out, is just with thoughts, and we get, we just keep going until you find out it can work or it can't. So yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I keep saying I've got a lot to learn. I said on the campaign trail a few times that I wanted to be a voice for the people, and I can't call 155,000 people I represent every time a vote comes up, but I can pick people out of those who are in that field. Okay, let's just say this. Veterans is easy because I know veterans. Let's use hospitals. I don't know anything about healthcare. Okay. Other than I took a combat vet course or combat course in the Army, but that doesn't qualify for what these people do. Yeah. But so my point, something comes up on healthcare, I would like to have people across the district in the rural areas and the busy areas, and maybe just some common sense people who are, so maybe a doctor, maybe a hospital administrator, maybe a RN, and maybe just somebody that's none of those things, that just has a little common sense, and have them on a text. Hey guys, have y'all looked at this House bill? I need to know what's in it and what, how it affects you.
How it impacts what you do.
How it impacts what you do,
Yep.
And then, you're going to have lobbyists come to you. You're going to have other senators come to you. And you get the feedback from those people first.
So what you're saying is, as a senator,
yeah,
you're going to have all these different groups coming to you because they want it for their advantage, whether it be a business, a regulatory board.
Yep.
But if you can go to the people first and get what the people need, then you know how to vet the information coming to you from the lobbyists.
Yeah, and it ain't always going to be first. It could be last, but at least I find out
somewhere in the process.
Yeah, in the process, how it affects the people. And
is this common practice? Do you hear about other senators doing something like this?
I don't, but I can't say that it's not practice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these people do talk to their districts. If they didn't, they wouldn't get reelected.
True.
So there is that, and I only have one other senator in the county, and that's Chris Elliott. And I've talked to him, and I know he got reelected and was very strong. So he must he's in communication with his people. Okay. But some of that I just want to see how it fits in and how to implement it. Cool. How to help the people by doing that.
So you want to create these groups of people in different
Yep.
industries or
Yep.
areas.
Education.
To inform
I want
you.
some principals, I want some teachers, I want some people on the school board, and I want a few parents. Yeah. But it's got to be across the district. I can't just be Robertsdale, and it can't just be some out of Foley. It needs to be some out of the rural areas that I represent, Washington County, Escambia County, Brewton, East Brewton, Atmore. A few out of each different spot. And I don't know I haven't put that in place yet. Yeah. I've got a little time. But I have talked to several of these people, and they have reached out and said, if you do this, I want to be on that board. Cool. So, and they can help me build it. They can help me a lot, figure out the right people and the people that will be influenced. And I would think it would be in line on it. But, if they're not, then I get to hear why. Yeah. So I think that'll be interesting in how you go back to the people.
That sounds awesome. It sounds like a great plan.
I hope it works. Yeah. I think it is a plan. It's just implementing it, talking about it, and implementing it is two different things. Just got to reach out and get the right people.
And also, like for me, what I do, media, content, I'm thinking like sit around the table and record that session. Yes. Yeah. Have and then you can share that on social media. Like, hey, this is a conversation I just had with each of these people from each of the districts. Here's our real answers. Here, you can watch what we're talking about. You can watch why I'm voting this way. If you don't agree, the bill's coming up. Call my office. Yeah, tell me why that's not right. Yeah. That's the transparency I believe you're aiming for.
It is. The only thing where I hope I'm not being naive is how quick this comes up. And some of that I know, I want to say that they said, I've had this plan for a while. since I kind of qualified and started looking at, man, these people don't get a voice, and here I am. I don't know nothing about education. I need their help. So I think the last session, though, there was 1,000 bills come up, and so.
And you're voting on all of those.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, no, not necessarily.
Oh.
They don't all make it through, and
Okay.
so some bills go through and some don't.
Okay.
And I'm still learning, the process of all that and
Yeah.
what can be kicked back, and I'll be honest. I've always kind of thought, well, we're a red state. 28 senators are Republican, only 7 are not.
Okay.
Why are we giving any thoughts to some things? Just shut it down. Let's move forward. We're the super majority, but there's reasons you have to work across the aisle to get along. I'm learning that too.
Yeah.
So I've never understood it.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to get it.
Cool.
So
You're becoming less dogmatic.
a little bit less. Come on, guys. Why would you even think about that?
Okay.
But there's reasons why you have to work across the aisle a little bit. So, we'll see what happens with district lines changing and some of that.
I heard that.
Yeah, we'll see what that does. But right now, it's still 28 senators, Republican, and 7. Now that could change. We've got a race coming up, and the August 11th race for congressional district seats. I mean, I can't imagine what this last election at 10 point. I think it was 10.25. I think if I'm not, I'm close. I bet you this next special election will probably be 5% less. Are you familiar with it? August 11th, we're voting on congressional districts 1, 2. There's one other one. I think it's 5.
Okay.
But that's the only races. August 11th. And if there's 10 people running in that race, there will be no runoff. The high man gets it. That's what I didn't understand was how are we going to get all this done, But August 11th.
Okay.
So you had some of these guys that just swapped from District 1 to District 2 because they changed the lines.
Okay.
And I've heard it said that they changed the lines recently and that was racist. The first time they changed it, it was racist. And they said it out loud. There's not enough blacks being represented. And I think if you say it in white, black, I don't care what color it is, that's racist.
Yeah.
If you do anything because of race, that's racist, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
so they're switching it back to what it was?
They are.
So they're saying it's racist, but they're actually going back to the original reason, which was...
The Democrats are saying it's racist now
word.
when it was racist
Then,
the first time they did it.
So they're getting it back to the pre-racist
Back to the way they were doing it for population, not color.
Oh, my word.
Wow. So, and I guess that'll change again when we have another census, which I think is every 10 years. Is that right?
I don't know.
I think it's every 10 years.
Okay.
So they do a census, and that's how these districts are. That's how they're redistricted.
That makes sense.
Is because of population.
Okay.
But it shouldn't be race.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree. So, a question I have, I would love to know why people, just like an open conversation about what you see good and in your opponent who you're running against is this Democrat, and what people should know about you if they maybe are Democrat but would consider voting for you if they knew something that stood out that they think I agree with that Terry's saying there.
I really,
it's kind of two questions.
I really don't know my opponent. She's doing TikToks. That's the only reason I knew she was running.
Okay.
She's I don't know. I don't want to offend her by age. She's probably late 20s. I don't know. So if she's 35, I gave her a compliment. I don't know. But I haven't seen any signs. I don't know what all she's gonna do. So I know very little about her to talk about her. Okay. Why would a Democrat? I'm going to do the best I can for them too. I don't. I get it if we don't align completely on our views, but we're probably not that far off. I'm sure most of them are not Trump fans, and I am. Okay. But if they can be open-minded, so can I. We could work past that. I'm not against anybody. I guess I should say it that way. I'm going to do what's best, the best of my ability for the whole district and the state. So, some of these things that come up, you're voting them statewide. Not all of them. I mean, some of it is just countywide. And, something else I did not realize when I started this. So I'm going to use Baldwin County for an example. Mm-hmm. There's 3 senators in Baldwin County. Vivian Figures, hopefully myself, and Chris Elliott. I don't think he's got an opponent, but anyway, he's there. Yeah. So to get something passed for that county, I think 2/3 or 3 have to agree. I don't know if it's unanimous. So I don't know, but it's a lot. There's a lot to the stuff that I didn't know even when I qualified. So I'm still learning. It's a lot. I got a rule book at the house.
Reading that every night?
Well, I hadn't started, but I'm about to. I've had other stuff going on.
I'm sure.
So it's been really busy. But just people reaching out, wanting to talk, get to know you, where you stand on stuff.
Yeah.
And which is good. That's what I need. That.
What's the most common question that you've had, or maybe the top few of where you stand? What do people want to know?
Immigration's come up a good bit. The gambling that we kind of talked about. Solar farms. I hate to bring it up, but in the time that I've qualified in to now, it's a hot topic.
People don't want them, I'm guessing.
People do not want solar.
Okay.
No. And I'm with them. I don't. I think we need to step back, look at everything really close. Is it green energy? Is it not? All right, so I'll get into the grass on it if you got time.
Sure.
All right, so solar. Met with the Silicon Ranch people, the Farmers Federation. Several of us did. And, so there's no government funding going into solar. And that was the one thing that I thought, if you want to stop, you stop it that way. You cut the government funding out.
But there isn't.
There's not.
Interesting. So
no,
it's a private company.
There was some green deals in it at one time, but that's gone.
Okay.
If everything that I'm hearing is true. So let me say that.
Yeah.
All right. So these solar panels are supposed to last 40 years. Over that 40-year period, they're supposed to generate $50 million in revenue. No, it's over $1 million a year in revenue. I don't know what the split is. I should have asked that because I asked a lot of questions about it. But so much goes to the county, so much goes to the state, like any other tax, I assume. Mm-hmm. All right, so they're doing a barrier around the property. They might have bought it by now. They're buying 4,500 acres. They're developing 2,000. They're paid $5,000 an acre. That's $22.5 million to develop 2,000 acres. So they're giving up a lot of property on that 4,500. They're doing a wetland delineation. What that means to me is if I'm wrong, people call me. I mean, get in touch with me. I'm not hard to find because I want to know. I want to be educated about this. But if there's any runoff into the Delta, the fines astronomical. I mean, they'll never that is not in their plan. Let me put it that way. Okay. I asked about a hailstorm. Anything I could think of. No, this you could almost shoot this with a gun. They're not going to shatter. Let's see, what else was I asked? Oh, hurricanes. If there's a hurricane, are these things going to be blowing all over? I think they said they were 210 mile an hour. Wow. And they changed. So they changed with the sun. Yep. They also changed with the wind.
So they can. So they kind of scoop it correctly. So
they move them more right.
Okay.
And so what else is significant about it? We've got solar in Foley. And that was farmland. We got solar in Escambia County, and that was farmland.
So that's the bigger thing for you, I'm guessing, is that they're taking over farmland.
It is.
Not that solar's ugly or it's
it is
this
ugly.
Or that. It is.
But they won't see it. And
yeah.
I mean, so this wasn't Silicon Ranch and Escambia and Foley either. I'm not saying they're better than everybody else, but we asked the questions and they had really good answers and pretty quick. that, man, they're ugly. You won't see them. We're leaving a natural barrier around, a lot of jobs, 6 to 8 jobs.
I know, it's very low.
Yeah.
Low
All right, so
jobs.
you know where the jobs come in?
Installation.
Sheep.
Okay.
They're sheep farmers. So instead of mowing under all these solar panels, they have sheep.
That's clever.
Well, and so I was approached, and I'm door knocking in Stockton, anti-solar all across the yard out front. I know, I got to tell these people just what I told you. If I'm going to be honest, I'm not, we're going to talk.
Yeah.
Knocked on the door, lady comes to the door. First question, what do you think about solar? You ain't going to like my answer. So I started telling her, just like I'm telling you. Yeah. And she said, well, I heard that they put off some kind of heat rays that, is harmful. I said, ma'am, they're raising sheep. I mean, I'm sorry, there's sheep under the solar. It's not, I don't see that,
There'd be a bunch of dead sheep.
It's not a invulnerable animal. It's a sheep,
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's that. And at the end of this, she did ask me, well, what do you think is going to happen? I said, you don't want to know what I think is going to happen. She said, no, I really do. I said, okay, I'll tell you what I really think. What I really think is people Stockton, people that care, environmentalists, there's no end. People that, don't want to see this. They're going to come together and they're going to raise money. Let me know. I'll pitch in. I'm about it. At the end, they're going to fight this in court and they're going to lose because the law's already written on it. Even if I'm elected, I can't go in there and start changing laws. That's not right. That's not what I want my elected official to do. And then there's property rights, which they don't like to hear, but it's true. Yeah. You can't just go in and tell somebody in an unincorporated area that they can't sell their property. It's just
like they can't raise cows or sheep.
The laws are written.
Yeah.
It could be a housing development.
Yeah.
Which would pull sewer, water, power,
yeah,
the works.
Would technically would that be worse?
In my mind, it would.
Yeah.
Because I live, in the central part, and I drive to Foley a lot.
Yeah.
And it's traffic. These people live there for a reason.
Yeah.
They don't want all that.
Yeah.
I think this is probably. I ain't gonna say it's good, so I won't go that far.
Yeah, but what
I don't want to do that.
But I guess you're giving
I don't
a
want to see it
contrast.
My fear is with the solar, does that bring data centers and the rest? I don't know, and I'm assuming it does. I know they picked the site that they picked because of transmission lines. There was already enough transmission lines in place where there was no infrastructure that had to be done.
Which, that's thinking wisely about cost and adding more infrastructure.
Yeah.
So they seem to be doing it in a decent way.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, if it can be done in a decent way, I don't, we like our phones and everything we're doing. Is that what it takes to keep up? And here's another fear. You start fighting people like Silicon Ranch and other companies coming into our state. Well, what's going to happen when a different company has 2 spots they're looking at? One of them's in Kentucky and one of them's in Alabama, and they say, we don't want Alabama. Look how these people fought you. So I'm just playing the devil's advocate a little bit on that because we do want good industry and good business. I mean, we've got all these houses. We need a place to work, and make good money and bring up our costs,
We got so many houses.
Yeah, we got a lot of houses.
If you want to fight something, fight some houses, man.
We need more places to work.
Yeah, it's my wife talks about that a lot.
Good paying jobs.
Yeah, which is where these technical developments come in. The novellas come in, where the bootings come in, right?
Novellas is huge.
Yeah.
Huge. I'm supposed to go tour that. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Booting, they're going to be breaking ground.
Yeah.
That's going to be a huge aluminum, steel?
I think it's aluminum.
Okay. They're producing pipes. Really beautiful.
Big deal.
Pipes. And again, they need infrastructure.
Big work site.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think that's entry level. It's good paying jobs.
Yes, for sure.
So that's really good.
And they need the infrastructure if they want to be able to do that.
That's right.
So you got to sometimes take the good with the bad. But I feel you on farming. Seeing farming go away, it hurts. It's hard to see.
It really is. But that goes back to you can't play one side of the fence and not the other. So property rights is property rights.
Yeah.
You can't tell that guy he can't sell his farm to a solar farm. I wish we wouldn't call it a solar farm. It's not a farm. It's a field. But anyway.
I think that might be one of the most challenging things about being an American is loving our rights, but disliking when we don't like what the rights provide.
That's right.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of time. There was a protest down here, or the Kings, no Kings protest, something. And somebody had dressed up.
So that's what. So to back to your point, you asked me earlier.
Yeah.
There was an anti-ICE protest going on in Robertsdale, one in Foley, one in Silver Hill.
Yeah.
That's my opponent. She kingpinned that.
Okay.
At least that's what I think she did. You know, if I'm wrong, but I know she was really proud. So
no statements there.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to say is there was a person who was dressed up as something inappropriate.
Yes.
And
Mobile, I think it was.
Yeah, and so, but there was one of my friends was there. And he said that person shouldn't be arrested. Now, was it the most appropriate thing to do? Dress up as that? No, but that's somewhat freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Now, should they be taken maybe and asked to leave or handled in some way? Of course, but there is an element that we do have the freedom to express ourselves. And so that's, again, where do people fall in that? That's a challenge in America.
You know, as a veteran, I've all veterans fought for those rights.
Yeah.
So, and me and another veteran had got into not a big argument, but he said that people had the right to burn that flag.
I don't know about that.
I can't watch that. I can't see it. I can't physically watch somebody do that.
Technically, they do.
They do. We fought for the right for them to do that. That's freedom of speech as well. But it better not happen around me. I'm going to jail. Yeah. I can't tolerate that. Yeah. I take too much pride in that flag. Absolutely. I wish I watched the NFL so I could have quit when they started kneeling.
Yeah.
And that's about our flag. Yeah. I get your premise. Pick something else, not our flag.
Yeah. Don't pick the thing that the reason that you can do it is the reason you're doing it.
Exactly.
That just is very, very silly.
Yeah. And so I think I brought it up, ICE, immigration.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, so immigration is dear to my heart. Okay. We have a nursery. We have 21 H-2A employees right now. Okay. Every year it changes. There's a H-2A, there's a H-2B. A is agriculture, B is business. There is some other like H-1A, H-1, some other ones. Those are what I would call more like educated professionals, like doctors.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything. I can't talk for those.
Okay.
I'm talking about H-2B and H-2A. And H-2A is what we're under. So H-2A, they can come here for 10 months, have to go back for 2. We have to pay to house them, and it gets inspected. We have to pay to bring them here. We have to pay to send them home. I think that's it, other than we're told exactly what we pay them, the works. Last year was $16.08 an hour. And it's hard to refer to that as cheap labor.
That's not.
Housing for free. Keep that in mind.
Wow.
We house them for free.
They get to keep all that.
Yep. So I would like to...
So is it more of the willingness to do the labor?
Yes.
Than it is even just the amount of payment?
Oh, they're awesome. They show up at work on time. They work very hard. They want to get things done. They take pride in their work. I said all along, I said it for years, I wanted my son to be a part of working with them and he speaks fluent Spanish. Cool. He runs the cruise now, but he does. He has work ethic.
So immigration to you is a mechanism of doing it right.
That's right.
Utilizing people for the jobs that they are great at.
There's a right way and a wrong way to come into this country. And if you're here illegally, you should go home. We should make it a little easier to come here the right avenue. We make it terrible. All right, my son married a Brazilian girl. Okay. All right, so she overstayed her education visa. They got married. It took We had to sponsor her. It took an awful lot of money. It took a long time.
Wow.
That it's not right. But back to the other part, the guys that we have working here, they don't want to be Americans. They want to come here. They want to work hard, earn money that they can't earn at home, and send it to their family.
Yeah.
Now, to do that, I think they should pay an additional tax. They're in our country. They're making money.
Yeah.
They're sending it home, so they're not keeping it.
They're not spending it here.
They're not spending it here. There should be a tax on that.
Okay.
And then we should expand on it. I've never heard a parent say, you know what, I want my son to grow up to be a nursery worker.
Well, let me ask you this. What is the argument against A, the person hiring, and B, the person seeking employment trying to avoid those taxes, or the business owner or the employee?
I think they should be. I don't know that either one of them is guilty. They're following, as far as I know, we're following the rules.
Yeah.
The rules should be changed. You know, I mean, it's like Trump said to Hillary when she brought up the taxes. I'm following your rules. You can't blame me. You know, so we need to change the rules.
Yeah. What a kind of influence do you have as a state representative for something like this, or is that more of a federal thing?
I think it's more of a federal thing. I'll say this. I feel like I'm making some relationships where I could be a bug in the ear or, you know, maybe get something started.
Yeah.
I think hopefully Tupperville is our next governor. I think, you know, I'll have some avenues there with his ear and Trump, you know. So I think we've got 2 years, and then I don't know what it looks like after that 2 years. Okay. And I hope it looks great. Cool. I would like to see something with Vance or Rubio, and I think most Republicans who follow things would. But who knows? That's 2 years away. Yeah. We need to make hay. We got 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Any closing thoughts? Anything we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
I don't know. You know, Second Amendment, I'm all for that. You know, I've said it along the campaign trail. I think a big part of why we'll never be invaded on our soil is Second Amendment. And people don't. I've never heard it said. You know, it's people believe in guns or they don't, or guns kill people or people do. But that part of it, never heard said. We will probably never be invaded in the United States because of our Second Amendment rights. Yeah. But we keep ticking away at them too.
It's so interesting. I mean, there was a study done in Florida, and I think for every person in Florida there was 7 guns.
I don't doubt that.
It's something crazy.
Oh, it gets, it is.
How is that even possible? When you think about it, most gun owners own multiple.
They do.
If not dozens of guns.
Well, and I do too. But, you know, my thing is now I'm going to quit buying guns and start stocking up on ammo because, you know, I think.
They're just heavy objects.
I don't need an expensive bat. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know.
I do that recently.
So the other part, and even tying it into Second Amendment, is mental health. And we have a problem in our state and across the country with mental health. Absolutely. And I believe we need to be very careful or gauge that accordingly, because so many times that guy that goes into the school and causes problems, it was not the gun's fault, but somebody knew it ahead of time, and it should have been brought to the attention that this person had a mental problem. Yeah. And we're not dealing with those problems near enough. So I don't know all the answers, but I do know a lot of the problems.
So that's something you're highly tuned into.
Yeah, especially like the mental health side of it for the law enforcement. Mm-hmm. You know, they're not trained to deal with mental health, and then on top of that, they go into a jail. Well, they're not dealt with. You know, they're not trained to deal with a mental health issue. So it just snowballs from one thing to the next. And you got somebody who has a health issue. Maybe they're off their meds. Maybe I don't know all the things, but I know there's things, you know, and whatever it is at the end of the day, you know, we need to do better with it. So I've heard other senators, other people in conversations talk about it. So I know that, you know, if we keep talking about it, we'll end up doing something about it. That's how it starts. Like we said, you know, you start a conversation and see where it leads and what's the best way. And you get in front of, you know, smarter people than me that's got, you know, the ideas that, hey, this is what we need to do. So
Why should people get out and vote, and when should they get out and vote? What's the date? What's the vote date?
November 3rd is the vote date, and that will be the general election. Yeah, I mean, this affects everything that we do, affects their day-to-day life. These county commissioners affect what you do at a local level probably as much or more than a senator will. People don't think that way. They have a big influence on what you do. The House reps, I mean,
This is for a person living in a state. This is almost more important than the president. Would you agree from like a daily life standpoint, or no?
Probably more influence there.
Okay.
Yeah, now that's hard to say. I don't know.
It could, okay.
The president, it's just such a different level. Yeah, but your day-to-day life is really influenced by what decisions commissioners make, mayors make, your county elected, city elected officials make, in what you do on a day-to-day basis. From your firefighters to your chief of police to, and they're all important. Absolutely. All the first responders, that's very important. And keeping us well, keeping us safe, keeping us healthy, all those things, that comes down to elected officials. Putting the people in those places, deciding what bills and what laws they follow. People don't realize there's the three branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial, and they all affect your day-to-day life. Absolutely. So the people that you, like you said earlier, that doesn't matter. It's not going to affect me. It really does. And those are the ones that complain the most. Mm. And I've noticed that, and that's fine. We should listen to them and try to do the best. I can't be mad at the 90% that didn't vote. That's who I'm here to represent too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and I'll say this. I don't know where all your broadcast covers, but I won by 52%. That means 48% did not think I was the guy for the job. I need to change their mind. I want them to be behind me. I want them to call me. I want them to reach out. And I want to prove that I am the guy for the job because of what we're talking about, the listening and the network and some of that stuff. So,
well, thank you for your time.
Hey, thank you.
I'm excited.
You. Yeah.
Terry, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.